before I start crawling around on the roof, I thought that I would walk you through what I had done so far to diagnose my problem with the Ethernet switch that is for Starlink up on top of the kitchen cabinet. So let's go ahead and take a real quick look at it. I'm not going to show you everything I did because it's just basically looking at a computer screen and running a bunch of commands, and that's not very interesting, but I think the results are somewhat interesting.
Trucks rumbling, coffee in hand, had a plan, yeah. This was the plan. We're rolling into the story, winging it naturally. A little bit of chaos, a little bit of wait and see if it all goes sideways, yeah. That's where we shine. Oh yeah, so buckle up, hang on, you're riding this ride with me.
So this is the setup I used to do the test, and this is what the device up in the wall looks like. It's this is what you see with this faceplate here, and then behind the wall you've got two white wires, one that comes antenna wires, one that comes from the roof and one that comes from down below. Now in the wall they're both white, and you have to figure out based on one's coming from the top and one's coming from the bottom, and so you know that that's where they're coming from, and they're not marked as to where they go. As far as I can tell, they may be just randomly inserted, but anyway, this is the device, and this is marked with the Starlink symbol. It's got the special connector on it, and so what I did is I plugged this into here, and then I plugged this into my network switch. And then I started playing around with combinations of these two. And what I found is that whichever cord is plugged in first at boot, or whichever one is detected first at boot, is how the switch is set, and it stays that way. Now, I think that Brinkley intended this to detect where the antenna is plugged in and switch there. But there's something in this device that basically is looking at for the physical cable to be inserted. So if I were to do this, right, whichever cable I plug in first is going to be the one that it switches to, even if the antenna is not connected to it. So in the wall, both of these are connected, and so when it boots, it sees one of the two of them, and that's the one it always tries to make the connection for. And so every time you power on the device, or every time you power on your coach, you're going to get potentially a different switch that's connected to. Now, so what I've seen online is that people are saying, hey, only plug one of these two in, whichever one you're going to be using, because most likely your setup is either you always use the wet bay or you always use the roof. And that will work. And it means that you only have to get up on your ladder and do this once. But the problem is that if sometimes you set it up from the roof and sometimes you set it up from the bottom, you've got to climb up behind the kitchen cabinet wall every time you want to switch it. And I don't really like that solution. So I've talked to Brinkley, or I've sent an email to Brinkley telling them what I found and asking them what they suggest. Now, they may tell me that this is bad, that this is doing the selection incorrectly, which is possible, but given the number of people on the Facebook page, the G. Brinkley owners page, I kind of think that either they got a whole bunch of these, or these are working as designed, and they just weren't understood how they were supposed to work. So I'm going to go do some experiments here, and what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to plug this end here into my I've got a satellite router for my wireless system. I'm going to plug that in, and then I'm going to plug just one of them in at a time, either to the roof or to the wet bay, and I'm going to test my cable and see if that could be part of the problem as well. So let's go take a look at that and get on the roof before it gets too hot here in Florida. Okay, so we're coming into the wet bay, and here is the Starlink connector that I just plugged into the modem up in the kitchen. And I had some problems trying to figure out how to get this one off in the kitchen. So I thought I'd show you real quickly how. I had to ask someone online, and they told me just basically grab it and pull it. And I thought I'd show you how that works so that you're not worried about doing it if you have to do it yourself, because it is a little stiff, but once you know it pops off, then you don't have to be quite as afraid of breaking the plastic. So let me show you. And basically, I just take and pry it off, and there it is, right? Now, what you can see is that there are 4 screws here, and I'm actually going to take that off so that I can look in behind it and see if this cord's connected properly. Okay, so it looks like I didn't need to take the screws out for this mounting plate to get to this, but here is the other, and you see that this is exactly the same type of thing as the last one. It's just got a single port rather than 2, and it's got the same mysterious part numbers on it. So let's reseat this connector and see what happens. Okay. And then go ahead and do this. So what I'm doing is I'm checking with just the cord with the connector out. So now all I have is I have this cord going up and directly plugging into the modem upstairs, right? So if I get a good connection here, then I'm going to go ahead and I'll add the connector back and I'll see how that works. And sure enough, I have a connection. So I'm going to go ahead and run the speed test. And I'm getting 128 and 34. So let's put the connector back in and see what happens. So I've got it attached to that. I'm using one of my Starlink cords that I really would use. And it's attached to my laptop. And we are going to go and try and rerun this. Okay, so with the next test, right, we can see that with the connector and the extra cable, we got better. Now that's just the variations on Starlink and where the satellites are at any given point. So it's not like all of a sudden we've gotten a better connection. It just says we've gotten an equivalent connection. So that says that this connector, cable, and everything's pretty good. So I'm going to put this back together again, and then we'll get up on the roof. Now before I go up on the roof, I need to go inside and change that modem cable to use the cord coming from the roof, because I don't want to have to go up on the roof twice. So let's go inside real quickly and move the cables, and then we'll be back.
Pulled into the campsite right as sunset glow. Back to Brinkley and nice and slow. Got the cords all hooked, got the jacks all down. Thought we'd finally settled in this little mountain town. Ate us sniffing pine trees, coffee's brewing hot. But the internet connection, buddy, it was not. There's a little white router blinking angry red, and I'm crawling through the basement, bumping my head. Oh, Starlink, why you gotta do me this way? Worked just fine yesterday. I got meetings in the morning and uploads tonight, but all I got is a blinking red light. Oh, yeah. Roof line dead in the basement too. Ran every test I knew to do. Now I'm sitting in a camping chair, holding Ethernet cables in the air, singing, come on Elon, hear my plea. I just need enough Wi-Fi to stream TV. Oh yeah. Started tracing wires through the belly of the beast. Found a fancy little switch box underneath the seat. Said automatic routing in the brochure line, but automatic routing ain't routing mine. Grabbed the tester, checked the pins, tried rebooting it again and again. Every time I thought I had it solved, another missed enough to run 3 ACs, but no internet connectivity. The dogs are bored and the upload's late. Meanwhile, the dish says, search and wait. I didn't plan this campground fight with a blinking little satellite light, so we bypassed the whole darn thing. Ran our own line clean and straight. Sometimes a simple way survives when the fancy stuff complicates. Now the signal's flying fast and free, like a campground victory symphony. And I swear I heard that router say, you should have wired it that way. Oh, Starlink, now you're finally alive. Got our little world back online, uploading videos under starlit skies, while the campground generator hums nearby. From the roof to the goose to the Brinkley G, this rolling home keeps testing me, but every breakdown makes a story worth telling. Even when the Wi-Fi's rebelling, yeah, every breakdown makes a story worth telling, especially when the internet's rebelling. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so fortunately, when I went to bring the laptop back down off the roof, it closed, it went to sleep, and it lost the web page when I disconnected from the network. But that connection worked. I got 150 megabits and 30, which is within the realm of reasonableness. So I think the next thing is, I hate to do it, but I think I need to take the modem down and rewire things off the roof so that they go back up on top of the cabinet. So that I got to wait for until we get an opportune time and we're not working, because that takes the internet down for a couple of minutes. So that one's going to have to wait for a while. So we'll catch back up with it this afternoon. Okay, so I've been waiting for parts to finish this the Starlink repair up, and I thought it might be worthwhile just to kind of review of how we got here. So what the problem I was having was that if I went to plug my Starlink modem into this connector, which is inside or it's just above one of the kitchen cabinets in my Brinkley Model G, I was getting very poor performance. And in fact, the only way I could get anything at all was if I plugged the outside antenna into the connector that's in the wet bay. If I tried to plug the antenna on the outside into the connector that was on the roof, I got nothing. I couldn't close the link at all. So I started going and doing some research, and eventually ended up just kind of taking this thing apart, because I couldn't find any information on the part or what it was. And even Brinkley, what they sent me, can't seem to find any product data sheets or anything on it. What's behind here are two cables. And these are Ethernet style connectors, and one of them goes into the wall. They both go into the wall. One goes into the roof, and one goes down into the downstairs wet bay. Now, as you've seen earlier in this video, I took this apart and I did some experiments where I tried to plug in different one at a time. And basically what I found, at least for this one, I don't know if it's working or not, but the way this one is, or I don't know if this is meeting spec as designed, but the way this device is currently working is that it detects a physical cable being hooked into here, regardless of whether or not there's anything connected to the other side. And it switches to that, and that makes the first connection, and that is what it's going to try and look at always, right? So if whichever cable I plug my antenna into first, or whichever port I plug my antenna into first, is the one that this switches to. Now, this gets power through power over Ethernet from the modem. And so basically what happens is that when you plug the modem into one of these two, it powers up, and then it will detect one of these two and it will latch on that, and that's the only connection you have. And so what was happening with mine was, because it detects on insertion in cable, it basically powers up and it sees cables on both of these and it randomly makes a choice. And so sometimes when I flip the modem on, it would pick one and sometimes it would pick the other. So this is not working if I want to move the antenna from either the roof or down to the crawl space or vice versa, right? So as designed or as at least this is operational today, this is not working for me. So I decided to change that. And what I've done is I'm going and I got a little thing like this. And what this is this is a holder for Ethernet ports. And I went out and I got a box of 6 of these at Amazon, and I'll put the link in the description below. But basically what these look like is these are just pass-throughs, and you can see that they've got a 2 Ethernet connectors on each side. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them in here like this. And I want to put them in so that they go the same way. And then what I have is it looks like that. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do is I can plug one antenna in, or one port to the cable going up to the roof, and one port going to the cable down in the wet bay, and I will then physically need to get up in my attic and switch, or up above the kitchen cabinets and switch. But that's okay for me, because what I actually have is, since we started this experiment, we've now mounted the Starlink to the roof, and so pretty much it's only going to be connected to here, unless, or connected to the port that's connected to the roof, unless I'm in another situation and I need to buy, you know, I'm not getting any coverage with that and I need to put a different antenna out to the side or something. So I'm going to reuse the screws that came with it, and I'm just going to put them in here, and that's what I'm going to go do now. Basically, I've had to wait for these to come in. I had to order them. I couldn't find them at Home Depot or Lowe's, at least not the high quality ones that I wanted. This doesn't matter. I got this at, you know, 79 cents. And somewhere in my toolbox, I've got the faceplate for this. I don't know where it is. I've looked for it today, and at this point, I'm just, okay, I'm never going to see it. So let's go up into the, above the kitchen cabinet, and we'll finish putting this together. And as we've seen before, this is the top of the kitchen cabinet just off of the door in my G, and I've got 2 Ethernet cables, one here, one here. You can see that one is coming through this wall, through the pass-through wall down back here, and it's obviously coming from down below. So this is the cable that's going to the wet bay, and then you can see I've got this one is coming from the roof, so that's obviously the one coming from the roof, and that makes sense because I've got a cheap little Ethernet connector here connected to my modem, or it's connected to, this is the Starlink modem, and then I've got a mesh connection here to help distribute to other wired points in the rig. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to shut the modem off, which will kill everything here, and then I can go ahead and connect these in. So let's go ahead and do that if I can.
Tonight, but all I got is a blank and red light. Oh, yeah. Roof line dead in the basement too. Ran every test I knew to do. Now I'm sitting in a camping chair, holding Ethernet cables in the air, singing, come on Elon, hear my plea. I just need enough Wi-Fi to stream TV. Tracing wires through the belly of the beast, found a fancy little switch box.
Speed test, good look. I'm getting 155 megabits. Given that this is mounted flat on the roof and I'm not pointed in the right direction, I don't think that's bad. So this is pretty easy, and I'm pretty happy with it. Well, I think that is it. This project was pretty easy once I kind of figured out what I need to do, and I gave up on trying to figure out what this was supposed to do. As you saw, we experimented quite a bit trying to figure out how to make this work, but all in all, I think getting up on a ladder and changing where the Starlink cable is plugged into is not that big of a deal, because the vast majority of the time I think most of us probably plug it into the same port. And then the next hardest part was finding these keystones, which I have found on Amazon, of course, and there will be a link, as I said, down below. So if you like this type of video and it was helpful, would love to hear from you in the comments below, maybe even a thumbs up if you liked it. And as always, if you'd like to see more of this type of stuff, subscribe would be really helpful. We're a small channel, and subscribers make a big difference. So thanks very much, and we'll hope to see you in the next one. Take care.
I've been so many places, I've seen them all with open eyes. Seen islands, open spaces, Serengeti sun slowly rise. All these memories, I hold them near me when I sail the Wagging sea. But there's one place for me.